go.
Yeah, screw that. Feels good to be back.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Sid. How are you already here? I didn't even call you.
Magic. So how was your break?
It was good. It was nice. Got to relax some.
That's
How
good.
was your break?
Oh, well, I went and stayed with my parents for a little bit. Then I remembered why they kicked me out in the first place. So apparently I have to wear this ankle bracelet for a little while. So that'll be fun.
You want to review some video games?
Why the hell not?
Alright.
Over the top intro?
Over the top intro. Let's go.
This is not reset.
Coming out in his most challenging role yet. Coming out in his most challenging role yet.
This is not reset.
Hello everyone, I'm Joshua Gillespie,
And I'm Sid.
and welcome to Season 3 of JG Reviews.
You look so ridiculous.
Thank you. If this is your first time watching the show, what happens is, every episode, Sid and I look at an underrated, overlooked, or just forgotten game of the past, and determine if it deserves some time in the spotlight, or if it should stay in the shadows. Now, boy do we have a lot of fun planned for this year, and I hope you're all ready.
Speaking of which, what's the first game we're going to review this year?
Well, I thought we would look at the often forgotten sequel to a game released on the Sega Dreamcast, and that would be Jet Set Radio Future. But first, let's briefly discuss the first game. Jet Set Radio, also known as Jet Grind Radio, was released in 2000 for the Dreamcast. The game was about a gang of roller skating graffiti artists, known as the GGs, going around a futuristic Tokyo, spraying up the place, avoiding the SWAT team, and taking down other graffiti gangs.
The game had a lot of awesome features, such as being able to create custom graffiti, and if it wasn't already cool enough seeing your design in the game, you were also able to share it over the internet.
Now, this was at the beginning of online gaming on consoles, so that means you were probably running on a 56K modem. So it was probably something like this. Oh man, I can't wait for everyone to see this awesome design I made. 10% finished. It was also the first game to use the 3D cartoon-looking graphical style known as cel shading. With an original story, fast fun gameplay, and an upbeat and eclectic soundtrack, you'd think this game would be a big hit, right?
Well, it was in Japan. Not so much in the US though. Even after many great reviews, and Sega even making changes to appeal to Western audiences, it didn't sell very well and has since become a cult classic amongst gamers.
So, with a game that received so much praise, it shouldn't be a shock that they made a sequel. Jet Set Radio Future was released for the Xbox in 2002. But you might be wondering, how much different is this game from the original? Well, you might be surprised. Let's take a look and see why so many gamers consider this to be an unfairly ignored title. Despite what many people say, this game is not just a simple retelling of the original story. You still play as members of the GGs, gaining more as the game progresses, going through the streets of Tokyo spraying graffiti, while facing off with rival gangs.
This time, it's not just the SWAT team that's going after you, it's the city's entire government. led by an enterprise known as the Rukaku Group. And by using the now corrupted police force, they have put a stop to freedom of speech and expression. With the help of DJ Professor K and his pirate radio station known as Jet Set Radio, what follows is a story of loyalty, betrayal, kidnapping, brainwashing, fighting for your rights, and the freedom to be who you are. What does this sound like to you? Maybe it's just me, but it reminds me a lot of the situation our world is going through right now. Figuring out what our rights really are, how much power is too much. And I think a lot, if not most of you, know how it feels to be mistreated for being a gamer or other things. So it's not only a very relatable story, but it's also one of the most original in gaming, and certainly one of my favorites. Wow, that was deep, my friend.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, how's the gameplay?
It's fantastic!
Yeah, sorry to spoil it, but the gameplay is addictive. It's so enjoyable. I'm usually not a fan of these action sports games, and hell, I couldn't roller skate to save my life. But Jet Set Radio Future is so much fun. The best word to describe the game is variety. There are lots of characters to choose from, with varying stats, huge levels to explore, and a large selection of different graffiti to use. Most of the graffiti in this game was drawn by actual graffiti artists. And just like the first game, you can make your own designs. It could be the logo for your favorite band, your favorite internet cartoon, or if you're like most people on the internet, you'll probably just draw a bunch of
Pretty pictures of nice and appropriate things.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Unlike the original, however, you can't share them online, which I kind of understand since you never know what someone's going to post.
Said what? But what makes Jet Set Radio Future so special is it did something few video game sequels are able to do.
It took everything about the original and improved it.
The controls are much smoother, and you no longer have to hold down a separate button to accelerate. The time limits on levels is removed, allowing you to skate to your heart's content. Speaking of levels, there isn't a level select. This game is open world with the areas all connecting. And gone is spraying graffiti in a quick time event. It's been replaced with just pressing the trigger. I played Future before I played the first game, and honestly, with all its improvements, this game makes the original seem inferior. But that doesn't mean the game is without faults, and there are a couple of them. One problem is the game occasionally has slowdown. It doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, it can be a bit frustrating.
And apparently, it occurs more when played on the Xbox 360.
Another issue is the jumping. I know Joshua just said the controls were improved, but there's still the problem of getting magnetized to nearby rails when trying to jump off, and missing a jump you should have made. What? No!
Which actually leads pretty well into the last issue. Well, it's not so much an issue as it is a tip.
It's a simple little dog. Tip for today.
What the hell was that?
Whatever. Anyway, the tip for Jet Set Radio Future is remember to save regularly.
The reason being, if you die outside of a mission, you go back to the title screen. This happened to me several times, and I'll admit, it pissed me off. But there's just so much good to say about this game. The unique locations, finding all the graffiti souls and music tracks, the side missions after you finish the main story, the multiplayer mode, getting to tag the police officers. Oh, and of course, the boss battles. Because Joshua loves boss battles. Now, you might think that the only bosses you fight are the police officers and occasionally the leader in a mech suit. But as the game progresses, you start to fight these different bosses, and they're really cool, and they're really difficult. And like all good bosses, they are a test of your skills. And the final boss is truly a test of everything you've learned, and it is nothing like you would ever expect. And because of that, I'm not going to spoil it.
Honestly, I could talk about the gameplay in Jet Set Radio Future for hours, but we have to move on. Simply put, this game is so much fun, and you'll spend hours just going around the different areas, seeing what kinds of tricks you can pull off, finding the collectibles, and leaving your mark on the city.
So, have you noticed something about Jet Set Radio Future that seems to be missing from most current games? Oh, what is it? Oh, that's right, color. Look at this game. It's freaking beautiful. Similar to the Wind Waker, it uses cel-shaded graphics, and it's that cartoonish style that keeps it from looking outdated, even over 10 years later. I mean, it's like a rainbow puked on this game, it's so vibrant. Although there are occasionally issues with the camera and the before-mentioned slowdown, the graphics department of Jet Set Radio Future gets an A. And the same goes for the music. Talk about one of the best video game soundtracks. There's such a variety of genres, and the songs are so catchy, upbeat, and add that extra bit of fun to the gameplay. One problem though. When playing a level for an extended period of time, the music will loop, and that can get somewhat annoying. While I love a majority of the songs in this game, there are some I just can't stand. For example, this song. Well, you have to admit, Joshua, it was nice of them to include a Yoko Ono song. But as we both said, the presentation of Jet Set Radio Future is just superb. Beautiful graphics, and a soundtrack you'll want to listen to even after playing, proving that a game doesn't have to look realistic to look amazing.
So, what do we think of Jet Set Radio Future? Well, this may not come as a surprise to all of you watching.
All three of you.
But we love Jet Set Radio Future.
And it's a shame that this game gets forgotten so often. Like I said, it improves on everything the first game did, but yet so many gamers overlook it. And it's no help that Sega seems to constantly disregard it by re-releasing the inferior original title on almost every modern platform. It's easy to find it cheap, especially the version bundled with Sega GT 2002, which is the version I have. And yes, they are both compatible with the Xbox 360. In fact, this was the first game I played on the Xbox. It came free with the system. Talk about a great first impression. To me, this game really showed me the potential of this new console. It even made me want to try roller skating. And you all saw how that turned out. But I fell in love with this game only hours into it, and it's a game that I'm sure I will return to many times in the future.
Even with its problems, and even though it can piss me off, Jet Set Radio Future definitely deserves some time in the spotlight.
Jet Set Radio!
So, there's just one last thing I want to discuss. It's been over a decade since this game came out. And What have we seen of the Jet Set Radio series since then?
Well, a couple of the characters have appeared in the Sega All-Stars titles.
And, like I mentioned, Jet Set Radio has been remastered in high definition for Xbox Live Arcade, PSN, and even Android and iOS devices. But other than that, we have seen nothing from this series. There was supposed to be a Jet Set Radio title for the Nintendo Wii. Unfortunately, it never happened. And as of February 2014, Sega hasn't announced a new game. So, that's where I'm going to make a promise to all of you watching. If Sega ever reveals a new Jet Set Radio, and it's a console exclusive, I will go out and buy that system. Hell, even if it's released on the Ouya.
Wait, what?
I love this series, and I want to see a new entry so badly. You know what? Sega won't make a new Jet Set Radio.
Oh god.
Then I'll just have to go out and be Jet Set Radio.
Oh god, what are you doing, Joshua?
Excuse me, but I've got to go out and make some art.
This is